Buenos dias, good morning. Hope you are well, staying positive and focused on what you can control. Welcome to Cafecito con Ace. Drop in where you are tuning in from and use the comment section as this time to network and to connect and engage with one another, engage with our special guest speaker today as well. My name is Patricia Mota. I serve as president and CEO for ACE, the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement, a national nonprofit whose mission since 1982 is to positively impact workplaces by cultivating the community of Latino talent, providing insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. Few key announcements. If you're looking to meet with a career coach, we have Coaching Corner coming up in December, so make sure to check on our events page to sign up for that. Also, our auxiliary boards, including Chicago, our National Leadership Council, are looking for future board members. And so make sure to apply for those opportunities to get involved with ACE on the ground, wherever you may be. And lastly, there is a Career Center information session. So check this and many more things that are on the horizon on the ACE website. It'll be dropped in the comment section as well. And then lastly, it's that time of year where it's our end of year giving. We are fundraising for our scholarship program. And that goal is 100,000. We're a little over 50% of the way. So any contribution matters to help our future generational leaders with their educational aspirations, with financial contributions. And so thank you for all of you that have already contributed and those of you that will. So let's get started with our special guest today, Cynthia DeLira-Rendon, who is a project manager for global service delivery operations at Relativity, and so much more, right, Cynthia? So many other titles that you have, but we'll just start with that one. So Cynthia, buenos dias. How are you today?
Hi, buenos dias. It's unusually warm here in Chicago, so I am a little warmer than what I thought, but thankful for that. Thankfully, we don't have any snow like we did a couple weeks ago.
Hey, it's Chicago. Everybody's got a little weird weather going on this time of year. Cynthia, we're at Cafecito con Ace. So first things first, ¿cómo te gusta tu cafecito? How do you like your coffee or morning beverage of choice?
Yeah, I like my cafecito with a little bit of canela in it and some dairy-free milk.
Canela, awesome. I know a lot of folks like that. ¿Cómo se dice? También café de la olla, right? When it has
Yes.
the canela as well. Cynthia, we want to get to know you, all of you who are joining in. There's an opportunity to engage in the chat. You'll get to connect with Cynthia afterwards as well, connect with her on LinkedIn. But tell us, Cynthia, about your cultural professional background, how you got to where you are. And we're very proud, too, that you are an alum of our Mujeres de HACE Women in Tech program as well. And so you do so much. And you've got a lot of great, exciting news that we're going to share with our audience today. But let's get started there and tell us about your cultural and professional background.
Yeah, so I am Mexican-American, first generation, everything. And so I think that plays a huge part in my drive. You know, I think that my family, the people that came before me, my grandpa, he came here and he did the work, he got here, but now I feel this like passion to like drive that further and see his vision come to life. So for me, I actually don't have a 4-year degree. I went to school for dental hygiene, so I got an associate degree to be a dental hygienist. And then COVID happened and I needed to pivot. And COVID was not very friendly to careers that were very invasive, like being in someone's mouth. And I was able to transition into tech. And so for about 3 years, I've worked for Relativity, a legal software company, as a project manager. And I think once I pivoted into tech, I realized how much opportunity was there. I think especially for Latinos and Latinas in general, because you can work from home. There is such flexibility with the different roles. And I think everyone thinks that you have to be very technical, like, oh, I need to know a coding language or be an engineer. But there are so many skills from my previous professional background that I didn't realize were needed in tech. You know, like as a project manager, keeping people organized. People can do the work, but making sure that we stay on task or that we keep to a timeline or checking in, setting communication expectations. You know, that's something that most people come in, do their work, but like how often should I be talking or checking in? And so for me, it was really thinking about in my previous roles, what was I good at? What did I like? And how can I leverage that coming into this new industry?
Cynthia, you mentioned a lot of transferable skills, right? That many of us don't think about that apply in the world of technology. And you gave us a couple of great examples. And one is about communication, right? Communication skills, being able to relay effectively the information that you want to get over to the team, to colleagues. And then you talked about the project management, right? Being organized and I hope that for those of you that perhaps were considering tech but didn't think that your skill sets could apply, I think Cynthia, you offer some very great examples in terms of like, yes, it applies. And how great of you to be able to pivot, right, in such a time when a lot of transitions are happening for many of us. And so have your questions ready, those of you who are tuning in, and if you have questions of Cynthia. And we also have some exciting news that we're going to share with you all, that Cynthia recently appeared on the Jennifer Hudson show because they were notified about your volunteer work. And get this, everybody, she recently completed a personal goal of 260 hours of volunteer work. Let me repeat that. 260 hours of volunteer work. Can you tell us how that goal came about and then how do you do that?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
So for me, I think part of this journey and this transition into tech, for me, I was really grateful for that opportunity that sort of came about. And once I was here, I realized, okay, I'm here. That's not enough. How do I bring other people into this space? And so looking at everything that I had and being very grateful, I'll be very transparent. I had never earned more than a $50,000 salary in my entire life. And I had worked 3 jobs at one point, and I still never touched $50K. And I was a single mom, a young mom. And so I realized now that I have what I need, how can I give back to other people? And so 260 hours came from the fact that there are 260 working days in 2023. And so I figured if I could take an hour of every day and give back, then what does that cost me? It's sort of like a personal sacrifice that I do to give thanks for the reason that I'm here in this industry. And so I think I'm actually coming up to 300 and years but for me, I looked into organizations that serve the purpose that I wanted. So I'm a chapter leader with Latinas in Tech Chicago. I interned with Get Cities, which is also a national organization. I am on the local school council for my daughter's school because that, once again, diversity and representation is important to me.
Yes.
There was no Latina or Hispanic parents in general on that board. And so with the school being about 50% Latino, I was like, we need that representation there. And so I think for me, it's really finding the opportunities to go into these spaces and make that space for other people to come in and realize like, hey, I'm in here. I'm the least likely person that people would expect. I had my daughter when I was 18. 4 years later, I got cancer. I was sick, and I had to work through that. I don't have the bachelor's degree, like I said, but I do have a lot of other transferable qualities that are valuable that people need, and being able to make those connections, being able to form relationships, being able to seek opportunity, and then be able to present that to my company as, hey, we can do something with this that will not only benefit the people that are getting this opportunity, but we'll see that return within our company as well.
Wow, amazing, Cynthia, just amazing. An hour a day for each working day, but then you surpass that. It seems like, and you shared about some of the ways, and I think school councils are critical to your point. I think sometimes we lose sight of the power and the importance of being able to do that and the representation, right, that's needed to ensure that our voices of our diverse communities are heard. And the other thing that really struck me, Cynthia, that's so critical and important for me personally is the gratitude place, right? Is starting from a place of gratitude and saying, okay, I've gotten here. Who else am I going to help? Because I haven't gotten here alone, right? There's people that have supported us along the way to get to where we are. Of course, we're asking the questions, we're driving, but it's about being able to start from a place of gratitude and say, okay, who else belongs here? Who else can I get here? What resources or what advice can I offer? And so thank you for doing that. We appreciate you so much, especially as I mentioned earlier, you are an alumna of our Mujeres de HACE in Tech program, and you are the co-founder of CoderHeroes. So can you share more about, you know, your experience in first Mujeres in the tech program, but then what this organization that you're co-founded is leading in terms of the mission and the work that you're doing behind it?
Yeah, so I think once I was here and I realized the opportunity, I looked at my daughter who's 12, almost 13. And I thought about the fact that like she's not exposed to these concepts. You know, like she knows what computers is. She's on a computer, she knows how to use apps, but like what does it take to run all of these things? And I looked back on my journey and I didn't know anybody in tech when I was first breaking in. I thought everybody was engineers. And so I realized we need to get this knowledge to kids a little bit sooner and at an age where they're interested and they have curiosity and they want to ask questions and they want to make things better. And so I actually came across a nonprofit called Code Your Dreams that I was very actively involved with volunteering. And we thought of, well, why not create a concept where people can pay for this programming? And it's a buy one, get one concept. So when you purchase a class, you will build an app. We have some programs that are live now. But when you purchase the class, you're actually giving a class to someone else. So as of today, over 85 sort of scholarships have been given to kids in West Africa and here in the United States to be able to complete this programming through Code Your Dreams. And so CoderHeroes is really a way of, number one, unlocking your superpower, because I think everybody has the ability to code and be in tech. But number two, unlocking the ability to not only enrich yourself with knowledge, but give that gift to someone else. And so just having the opportunity to transcend like borders, not just here in the United States, but be able to reach other countries that are also, you know, looking for that opportunity. For me, it really resonated. And that's why I was like, this needs to exist. And the other thing we're working on integrating is creating tech language, but bilingual. So kids are not just learning it in English, but also in Spanish, because we know Latino America is a huge tech hub, especially South America and over in Europe. And there's so much opportunity, I think, for Latinos to get involved. They just need to be exposed to this. And I think exposing kids at a younger age will help bring that curiosity sooner. And then when they're in college, they're not thinking, well, do I need a computer science degree, or is it worth it? They'll have that knowledge to feel confident to go in and say, yeah, I deserve this. I could do it.
That's amazing. That's amazing work, much needed. We'll take any questions if there are any questions or comments. And again, we have a few minutes left, but you can always come back and connect and chat here. We've got Andrea, who's your inspiring story. Cynthia, I agree, 100%. Definitely inspiring, inspirational, talking about your trials and tribulations. Cynthia, thank you for sharing that with our audience, because I think sometimes when we hear stories like yours, right, we're like, oh, you know, maybe she's got it going easy, you know, that you know, but it's not the case, right? And I think you sharing your trials and tribulations definitely helps us see that you are human at the end of the day, and that and even if, you know, right, that there's opportunities to be able to transfer into the technology career, if you're not sure what that next pathway can be, is thinking about your transferable skills. So we have a question from Andrea as well. Like, do you need to obtain a project management certification, I should say, to move into the role that you are in now?
So surprisingly, Andrea, no. I actually, before I moved into this project manager role and I made sure that this is what I wanted to do, I went on LinkedIn Learning, and within the span of about 5 months, I did over 100 courses, and many of them were in project management because there's so many different styles. And I think coming prepared, knowing what the different styles were, especially in tech, so many different companies have different ways of approaching problem solving, that I think being knowledgeable about those different aspects was more valuable than perhaps having that one certification. But now that I'm here, you know, it's helped me refine what certification would be best moving forward.
And wonderful. Thank you. We have another question. Thank you, Andrea, for the question. Melinda. So Melinda, our director of programs, how do you balance being a mom, working full time, and volunteering? All those hours.
Yeah, so I got to shout out my husband here, Juan. He is spectacular. I think having a partner that is very supportive of your goals is really key, or having just a supportive individual in general. I don't think it would be possible without him kind of working in the back with the logistics with our kids, with taking care of the house. But once again, I don't want to make that sound easy. That's, I think culturally, that took a lot of conversations for us as well, for him to realize the value of what I'm doing and to be on board for what it is that's going on. And I think that it comes down to that communication, sort of those skills that I learned, was sitting down with him and really realizing, like, what do we want? What's best for our family, and how do we move forward? Which could be difficult. He was born in Mexico. His parents are very traditional. And so I think that's another conversation that sometimes we don't talk about in transitioning, is losing those traditional values sometimes that we think, and being able to shift out of them for the greater good.
For the greater good. Love that. That you said that very perfectly, I should say, Cynthia. Alberta Jose, or Alberta Jose, as a Latina in tech, what sort of obstacles have you encountered, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, so I would say one of my greatest obstacles would be, like I mentioned, not having a reference point or knowing people that were working already actively in tech to be able to ask them what their experience was like. And so I think for me, it's being able to find those liaisons, whether to different companies or industries within tech, and looking for that sort of Hispanic or Latino that is going to be like, hey, Cindy, what's up? Come into this room. The other thing I would say is sometimes people just, it's different. I'm in the room. I will say it very clearly. Sometimes I'm the only face of color. Sometimes I'm the only woman. And I think for me, it's really getting comfortable with the confidence that I belong there, and getting rid of that imposter syndrome and reminding myself that, like, nobody chose me to be here. I did everything that I needed to do to be in this room. And so I deserve this space. So I think just reminding myself that it's mine.
And that's why I think, like, your involvement in Latinas in tech, or circles like, programs like the Mujeres in Tech, and are remind you, right, that you're not the only one, and are with you in those rooms. You're the only one to help you, right, with that imposter syndrome that sometimes shows up in our day to day. Cynthia, it's been such an honor and pleasure hearing, your story and sharing it, right, with our audience here today. And we'll continue to share it, because this would remain on our platforms, our social media platforms, where everyone here can continue to engage, add your thoughts, ask your questions. And so we've got to wrap up, Cynthia. So my final question to you is, what are you most hopeful for the remainder of this year?
I am just hopeful that we will be nicer to each other. I think there's a lot happening in the world, and I just ask that everybody is a little understanding of our neighbors. And just, if you see someone needs a little bit of help, it's the time of giving back. It's a gratitude season. Offer a helping hand.
Yeah. Offer help in a world where there's a lot going on, a lot of pain that we're seeing, right? And in so many ways, it's so critical. Like, you never know what your neighbor, to your point, is going through, and to lend that support, that smile, that helping hand goes a long way in the spirit of gratitude. Thank you, Cynthia, for your time, for sharing your insights, and for all of those hours that you've given so much of others. I thank you, and thank you for those that are tuning in. Y hasta la próxima. Until next time, everyone, take care.